have said that you won't deal with the Troika. Is that right? You will not deal with the institutions that are your creditors.
By the way, I was listening to your report, and I have to tell you, I'm a great BBC fan. I've never listened to such an inaccurate report. I've never said that we're not interested in discussing with our creditors. I've indeed, exactly the opposite. I said that we are very keen to enter into fruitful negotiations and discussions and deliberations with the European Central Bank, the IMF, the European Commission, every single member state of the Eurozone in which we belong and rightfully find ourselves in. What we are not prepared to do is we're not prepared to carry on pretending and extending, trying to enforce an unenforceable program, which for 5 years now has steadfastly refusing to produce any tangible benefits.
So explain to us then what that actually means, because you have called the whole construction rotten. So will you deal with them as a body, because it's only as a body that they can help solve the debt, or will you not?
Of course we will. And it was today I had a very fruitful meeting with Mr. Dijsselbloem, the head of the Eurogroup. And unfortunately, perhaps I should have made my remarks in English so that you wouldn't be lost in translation. My point was that we are very eager to hold discussions and to find a commonly agreed solution to this problem, a new program, a new agreement, a new deal for Greece with our creditors. What we refuse to do, you see, the Troika that you mentioned has two different levels. One is the Troika of institutions, which of course we're very keen to discuss with. But then of course there are representatives here in Greece whose purpose is, they are very good people, but their purpose is to enforce and to oversee the implementation of a program which in our view has completely and utterly failed.
Just to clarify, you don't want to accept further bailout money, is that right?
Suppose a friend of yours were to come to you and say that he or she had difficulty repaying their mortgage because of a reduction in their income. They lost their job or something like that. And they had a great idea on how to solve this problem. They would get a credit card and draw money from it in order to meet the mortgage repayments for the next few months. Would you advise them that they should continue to take these tranches of loans from the credit card in order to deal with what is essentially an insolvency problem? This is a trouble now over the last 5 years with Greece, where our European partners and the previous Greek governments have been extending and pretending.
So a very simple answer to that
this is not something that we should continue.
Right, it's a no then. You won't accept further bailout money.
No, let us... I understand that journalists love the language of confrontation. I don't.
Not confrontation, just a very simple understanding.
Well, allow me to answer your question. This is not a question of take it or leave it, of ultimata. It is not a question of who is going to blink first. What we have in the Eurozone over the last 5 years is a crisis which is unfolding with detrimental effects for the integrity of Europe. And the result of that is that the only people who have really been benefiting are the anti-Europeans, the misanthropes, the racists, the fascists here in Greece, the ultra-nationalists everywhere else. And we just want to put an end to that and have a rational discussion with our partners. So, just to deliberate with our partners.
So are you prepared for a credit line to dry up now, or are you absolutely saber-rattling? This is a blink-first situation, isn't it?
No, it's not. What we are saying to our partners is something really simple that I believe a British audience can really understand deeply in their bones. We are a government that has just won a mandate from the Greek people. What we're asking our partners for is a few short weeks during which we can put together very sensible, rational proposals that aim at one target. And the target is to minimize the cost of this crisis for the average European citizen, taxpayer, not just for the Greeks.
You're talking about a few short weeks, and yet in the last month we have seen 7% of Greek bank deposits withdrawn. We've seen Greek bank shares down 30% since you came to power. Is that a problem?
Of course it is a problem, but I wouldn't consider this to be the problem. This is just a symptom. It is a symptom of a disease that has been going on for 5 years.
But people are
I gave you the
taking their
example
money
of
out of their bank accounts. They're actually withdrawing money from their accounts.
But allow me to say that you are confusing the symptom for the problem. The symptom can always be very painful, as in medicine, but it's not the cause of the, of the disease. The disease that we're facing in Greece at the moment is that the problem of insolvency for 5 years has been dealt with as a problem of illiquidity. And any bankruptcy lawyer in Wall Street or the City of London will tell you that this is not a safe way of dealing with the difficulties that we're facing.
You want to reverse structural reform. You want to raise the minimum wage.
No,
No, because that was what your manifesto said.
Hang on a second. No, just a second. Let's take it one thing at a time. Not only do we not want to reverse structural reforms, we want to deepen them, make them more extensive. We've had enough as Greeks of being in a country which needs so desperately reforms and is not getting them. Greece has not been reforming over the last 5 years. It's been deforming as a result of sort of an implementation of a program that is not dealing with all the malignancies of the Greek economy.
What about the privatisation of the ports? Are you going to go ahead with that, or are you going to reverse that?
Well, allow me to say one thing. Firstly, I'm personally, and as a finance minister, I can assure you that the particular investment in the port of Piraeus, which has been unfolding over the last few years, has my full support. And I would like to be part of an attempt to attract to this country foreign direct investment that has a similar effect on raising productivity and competitiveness. But the privatizations that have been mostly being pursued over the last few years have been a kind of fire sale in the middle of a deflationary process where essentially assets that are potentially very valuable to this nation are being sold off during the deflationary crisis for peanuts, and even those peanuts are being thrown into a black hole of unsustainable debt.
Forgive me, Minister, but there seems to be a lot of ambiguity in what you're saying, because you present one face...
No, there's a lot of ambiguity in your reports.
Well, there's...
Excuse me.
Sure, there's one face, though, isn't there?
Just one more second. There is no ambiguity in our reports. You're cutting me down and cutting me off. If you allowed me, I know that there is shortage of time on a program like yours, but if we ever were to sit down and you allowed me to outline our program, you would see that the ambiguity is precisely that which doesn't characterize it. Perhaps your reporters report on what he thinks or she thinks we said is ambiguous.
Okay, so let's just get a couple of things straight, because it's all about values and about understanding who is at the heart of this new government now. Do you trust Germany? Do you want to work with Germany? Do you trust the country?
Let me tell you something that I think answers your question.
Super simple. Do you trust Germany?
Yeah, very simple. Yes, I do. And if you had allowed me, instead of cutting me off quite rudely, I might say, I would have told you that I published an article, I think it was in Handelsblatt, a very important German newspaper, with the title, "Europe needs a hegemonic Germany."
Right.
I believe that the powertrain of the European economy, which is Germany, has to play a very significant role in lifting all the boats that have sat on the seabed after a vicious tide has retreated, following debt deflationary policies that have not been good for Europe, not good for Greece, and indeed not good for Germany either.